Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Church of Jesus Christ Edmonton live show. I guess that's what we'll call it. I'm Kim, and this is my husband, Mike.
Hi.
And we are social media contributors to the pages that you'll be looking forward to looking up and searching as we share lots of inspirational posts, videos. There's a whole team, so we won't take credit because there's a big team that continue to do that. And hopefully it uplifts you, and hopefully you share it too, because that's the whole purpose, I think, of what we're trying to do when it comes to social media, and opening up to our friends in community as well, so that they can get to know us as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, we hope this brings you value, value enough that you want to share this with your friends and family on your social media pages. So
for sure. So today, April 18th, in this live interview, we will actually be bringing on the Assistant Director of the Edmonton Region of Communication, and her name is Chantelle McMullin, and she has been around for quite some time, and so we just wanted to get some insight from her of what has happened in the past and what people can expect in the future. So we'll bring her in right now.
Hello, Kim.
Hello, Chantelle. How are you?
Hey.
I am great. I see there's 7 people watching, so that's more than my mom. I'm so impressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my mom might be in there too.
Your
Yeah.
mom.
Okay. So it's our families collectively watching us. At least they love us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have some groupies. It's awesome.
That's really impressive.
So Chantelle, I guess as we get started, maybe you just want to describe your role or your position as what you do in regards to these different platforms.
Sure. I actually, for those who are members of the church or affiliated with the church in some way, they'll know that we don't have a paid ministry. So we're unusual in that way that nobody gets paid, but everybody has a job. So we call them callings in the church, and my calling at this point in my life, and they change often, but for about the last 10 years, I have been the assistant over media in the Edmonton area, and I work with our director of communications. And my responsibility is to administer the platforms that we use in the church in this local area for social media. So I help with them, administer them, and then I have this amazing team of people like you guys who support and create content. And when I say amazing, it's because everybody has this part-time job that really is, they're not paid for, but that they love, and they're doing purely out of their dedication and their faith. And so it's a terrific team, and they put together some terrific content that I think everybody will love.
Exactly.
We get paid in blessings, so
In blessings.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. An experience for sure.
Yeah. And just a heads up also, everybody, we are live and we'd love to hear feedback from you. So feel free to write in a comment. Mike will actually be monitoring that. So don't mind him if he looks down a little bit and checks on it. He's not being rude. But we also want this to be interactive. So feel free if you have any questions for us. We'll try our best, of course, to get to them. So next question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and so I have 2 wonderful boys that I'm raising. And I always tell them, here are the 2 things you can say to women. You look great. You look great. Have you lost weight? Those are the 2 safe topics for
That's
women.
like the best advice ever.
That is, yeah. Feel free to write that in the comments, you guys.
Or you look super young. That's
yes.
so appropriate.
Well, you
It's
do.
appropriate at my stage in life.
I love that. I love that.
All right. So for our next question, what is the purpose of having these social media platforms for people to go to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that communication is the sinew that binds us as a great family, right? It is the thing that we all do and we all use. And so different platforms are a way that we can reach out to as many people as possible with our small group. Because everybody has a favorite platform, and we try and accommodate as many of those as we're able to with our team. And that's why we just want to communicate with people. The other thing I would say about our platforms and why we have them is in 2014, we had a leader of the church who gave this amazing talk on social media and its purposes. And he talked about how we want to share goodness. And that really is our goal, to share goodness. I think if you look in any news feed for any social media, you'll find a lot of negative right now, and some, unfortunately, a lot of contention. And so our goal is to bring goodness and light into what can sometimes be dark. Because especially during a difficult time like the pandemic, people see their newsfeed and it's all kind of sad, depressing news, and that's not what we want to see. So when we share messages, it's about good people doing good things. And I think of that Paul the apostle in Jesus's time in the New Testament, in Ephesians, he says that our messages should seek to edify and uplift. And he says that let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. That's what he says in Ephesians. And I think that's good advice for all Christians and people of all faiths, right?
Yeah.
That if criticism worked and was effective, we would all be perfect.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It doesn't uplift people. It doesn't make us be better people. And so that's our goal, is to help people who are doing good be encouraged to continue to do good, and then people who want to have more goodness in their life to be part of our community.
Yeah.
There's so much good out there, and so many good people, and there's so many good faiths. And even if you're not in a faith, there's really good people out there, and it's amazing that we can come together on social platforms like this, and we can share that goodness, like you're saying, right? Like, and that's what we love about this calling, is that we get to search for all the good people out there in our church and other churches, and develop that relationship that that we should all have.
Yeah.
It's so true. And it's an important relationship to develop, because I think there's more good people than bad people. And we sometimes forget that when we look at media of all kinds, that sometimes bad is overrepresented. And so we want to really shout out for the good in all the places that we find it.
Exactly. I love that you said that. Actually, today in a youth class while we were attending church, we were talking about social media and the influence it can have. And people with, of course, the background of trying to stay away with social media just because of that exact point, Chantelle, that there's so much bad representation. But I love that we can use it for good. And that's exactly what I think we should encourage our youth, because let's say 12 years ago when I worked in the television industry, there's a huge studio, cameras just to get the message out to people out. But now all the kids have to do is lift up their phone and they can get the message out. And so that's exactly why we love working with social media, because of the fact that you can reach so many people in such little time, but with a positive message. And I hope that people can feel that as well when they go to these different platforms, that they can hear stories, look at posts, and share that with others to uplift. So thanks for bringing that up. That's a very good point. Oh, you're going to ask your next question?
No, you are.
Okay, so since you've been in this role, this calling, how we name it, for a while, what are some past experiences or stories or highlights that you've experienced that you can see as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have made a positive impact in the community?
It has been fun, because I've been here since we started these platforms, and we're unique in that we stay in our calling for a long, long time. Most callings change every few years, but we stay for quite a while. So I've been able to see the evolution of our channels and what's happened. And, from our very first follower, which was pretty exciting. When we got to 10, I remember us doing the victory dance, that we'd gotten to 10 people. And our really the things that always stand out in my mind are the stories, the amazing stories, because that's what we all love, is a good story and a good experience. And probably the one that stands out most in my mind, and is probably has the most people affected and shared and really reacted to this story, was in 2017, our church was part of a religious freedom. We hosted a religious freedom event at one of our buildings, and it was just it was a fun event. We had, so many different faith groups talking about what they believed. We found so much we had in common, but one of the hallway conversations that came out of that was from a group of followers of Islam who were in the Riverbend area, living in the Riverbend area. Now, this group had worked very, very hard to find land and to build a mosque, but had been unable to do so. So one of the gentlemen who was attending said, "You have a building like this?" And we said, "Well, we have several." And he said, "Do you have one in Riverbend?" We're like, "Do we have one in Riverbend?" "Yes, we do." And from that hallway conversation, literally a few weeks later, we loan our building each evening of Ramadan. And the group from this congregation come and they have keys to the building. They come in every night when it's time for prayers. They do their prayers, and then they break their fast together. And it is such a delightful experience. It's been one of those stories that it again, it shows there's so many good people who have good beliefs and who love faith and who want to be better people and whose goal for faith is to make them a better person. And so these amazing this faith community was having to drive all the way across the city to Fort Road to break their fast every day after Ramadan. And they could never find a building that was right. And so we were thrilled before the pandemic to every year they would come back. And I think my favorite part of this story is, and I don't know if we told this story even, I think we did on the page, was that after their Ramadan was over, they invited members of our faith to join them for a dinner. And at that time, we were still allowed to use the nickname Mormons more than we do now. We like to use our official church name. But back then, we called it the Mormons and Muslims night. And on every table, there were M&Ms. And they provided the samosas, and we brought the salads. And it was so much fun. And we couldn't invite everyone, but there was about 100 members invited to attend. And my family and I got to go to the event, and I can't tell you what a refreshing evening it was to spend this evening with people who were able to talk to us about the misconceptions of their faith. And we told them about the misconceptions of our faith. And we found so many things in common and so many people trying to live a righteous life, right? Maybe some of our beliefs differ, but for the most part, these were good people doing good things. They were kind, and boy, could they make samosas.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I love that. When it comes down to it, that's exactly what it is, Chantelle.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common if you just give us the opportunity to get to know each other, right? I think everyone is striving to be good and do good, right? And so why not get a chance to nurture that relationship and discover more about it? And that's a perfect example. I love that story.
It's true. There's even a story in the last month, and I know you've both seen it, but I love this story, where we highlight some of the things that Church Humanitarian Services does on a global basis. And one of them was we worked with a Greek Orthodox nun in Syria. And the Church Humanitarian Services created this mobile bakery in Syria out of a sea can container. Right. It's incredible. And if you watch the video, it shows how they make the bread. They make bread and deliver it to different refugee camps around Syria. I mean, it's a miracle, this little thing. And it shows you that when faiths work together, we can do so much good. And for many years, we've done that with other faiths in our community. We've worked together. We've shared projects. We share on the page, you'll see for the last 10 years, we've talked about the Edmonton Food Drive, which started in our local community. A bishop who is one of our congregation leaders in Millwoods said, let's start something and go collect food for the Edmonton Food Bank. And it has grown in the last 10 years. We've collected over 1 million pounds of food. Yes. And that's members of our church and our friends and people of other faiths who've joined together to one Saturday a year, we just go pick up food from people's doorsteps. And the response is overwhelming. And we've used those social media pages as the primary way to talk to people about that event, about sharing that event, and helping people know about the needs of our Edmontonians. So it just shows you when people are given the opportunity to do good, they want to.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I know for one, our family looks forward to that food drive every single year. And it's mind-boggling that when people come together for good, you can have outstanding results. And so just a matter of organizing it and doing it. So
it really is. It really is. Well, and one of the other things I'll share is that we've done stories on, family history is one of our big focuses this year. You'll notice if you look at our social media pages. And you guys did the most brilliant live interview with Cindy Christensen, who happens to be a family history expert.
Yeah.
Because our church, for people who don't know, we are all about the family. We are about God's family and keeping that family united forever. And so one of the ways we do that is with family history research, finding your own roots. And again, we're open to everyone who wants to do that. And we provide so many free resources. It's unimaginable. And you did a live interview with Cindy Christensen where you talked about that. And you said, how do you get started? What do you do? And if you want help. And then, of course, we have free resources online, and we link to those all the time on our social media channels to help people get involved and try and do something unique. We also talk about justserve.org, which is an amazing website. We joke that it's the meet.com or the social, the dating site for if volunteer match.com, a volunteer looking for a volunteer opportunity, we will put you together.
Yes.
And what's really exciting is that we've even got some amazing opportunities during COVID, that in spite of COVID, you can go serve. And I know you guys have taken your family out and done some amazing service things in spite of COVID, and that you've been able to maintain restrictions and it's been safe, but you've still been doing good in the community. And so we highlight those opportunities all the time on our page. In fact, this week coming up is National Volunteer Week. So you'll see lots and lots of great information about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact that Just Serve, it was mentioned in an interview actually posted earlier today that people think, oh, COVID, I can't do anything because I can't be in contact with anyone, which is actually the exact opposite. There's so many different opportunities. And even like you mentioned, we even took our kids to an opportunity to serve. So you just have to go to that resource and then find out for yourself what works for you. So
yeah, obviously you want to be safe and you want to follow all the protocols, and that's what we did, right? We were wearing a mask, we were socially distant, and it's totally doable. And Just Serve, they do that research for you too, and they bring it all together in that website or the app, and let you know about what's happening in your own community. It's not just for Edmonton, it's Sherwood Park, St. Albert, Stony Plain, Spruce Grove, all over. Yeah. I think Just Serve also serves. Is it just Canada, or is it
North America? Yeah, it's Canada and the US as well. And what's terrific is that some of those COVID opportunities, COVID-friendly service projects that you can go on, you can pick the number of people you want to have. You can pick, I can't leave my house, so you could still do volunteer opportunities. There's amazing. There was one for the Smithsonian Museum to help catalog things and do indexing, and there was also Find a Grave. You can adopt a graveyard. You can go write down the names of graves and dates of people's deaths so that can be preserved on digitally, and that people can use that when they're doing research. There's just so many things you can do that, if you don't want to leave your house, but then also things you can safely do. And there's just a million opportunities. And then when COVID comes to an end, there's even more terrific opportunities that I think are so important, especially for families. And this, you have young children, to teach children how important it is to serve others, and how that gives your life such incredible purpose, that without service, I think our kids get a little bit lost in their privilege. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
We're so blessed in the society we live in. I mean, we have shoes, we have clothes, we have food, we have homes, we're safe. If we need medical attention, we have it. So I think we take that so for granted. And when we serve others, we recognize our blessings are abundant, and that it's our obligation to reach out and help others, I think.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
It's amazing just the impact it has on kids. I remember taking to the Bissell Center, and a gentleman had come up to my 8-year-old and was just describing the box that he lives in and how he stays warm and stuff.
Yeah.
And when we got home, my daughter, she's just like, I am so glad that we live in this home, and I never realized how amazing it is, and I didn't know that there's people living like that, and coming from an 8-year-old, that's pretty profound. And so well,
and that's not an experience that's not something you could teach her without that experience. That's going to it teaches in such a moving and powerful way that only service can do, because I think you begin to see others the way that Jesus saw them. That each person, I think of that scripture, the one where he says, and seeing him, looking upon him, he loved him. And that's how he saw everybody. He looked on them and he loved them. And I think that's what, as we serve others, it knocks down all barriers of faith and of race and of all barriers, because as you know someone, you can love them, you can serve them, you can find common ground. And that's the beauty of Just Serve and all the programs we do that serve others.
Exactly. That's absolutely it. Thank you for sharing that. Beautifully said.
So for our next question, what can people look forward to when they search up Church of Jesus Christ Edmonton? It's not just on Facebook. We've got on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. And so if they search that up on those platforms, what are things that they can look forward to watching, reading?
I think
in
we
the
have
future.
so many exciting things coming up, because as I said, we have this small, very talented, very dedicated team coming up with things every month, and they're always different and they're always unique. And what's coming up soon, next Sunday at 3:30, I'm so excited that Mike and Kim, the Mike and Kim show again, they're going to be interviewing Evie Claire, who was one of the finalists for America's Got Talent a few years ago. And she's a remarkable young lady with such incredible talent. And I think we can all remember her story, that her dad was diagnosed with colon cancer and passed away while she was on the show. And her remarkable poise and strength during that difficult time, and her faith that she'll share about, and she'll talk about the strength of that faith. I'm so looking forward to that. So people can tune into any of our channels and they'll see all of those. See that interview coming up, and it's going to be terrific, I think. So if you've got anybody who's America's Got Talent fan,
AGT.
Yes.
they should come. They should watch that. And the other interview we have coming up is from a young man that I have known since he's been a kid. His name is Elder Bradley Bravender, and he is the sweetest young man. Grew up here in Edmonton, and he is serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he's serving in Zambia, Africa. Now, I love his story because he was called, and when the missionaries are called, they're sent to what's called the Missionary Training Center. And now we have a number of those training centers throughout the world. So depending on where you're called, you'll take your training either in Provo, Utah, or in London, England. And in his case, he was called to Zambia, Africa. So his training was going to take place in South Africa, in Johannesburg, South Africa. And this young man had never been on a plane.
Wow.
So he was excited. He was thrilled to go. And he got on the plane, got to South Africa, 2-day journey to Johannesburg. He was so excited to be there, going to the training center. And I think a week after he was there, COVID hit and every missionary was taken out of Africa. So he came home. He came all the way back. His second flight was home in a few days later. And then he waited and stayed home and learned to be a good missionary at home by Zoom, and then was sent back to Africa. He was one of the very few missionaries who got to go back to Africa. So exciting. Yeah. He's now serving in Zambia and he loves it. And so you're going to do an interview with him and tell his story. And that's Wednesday. So yeah, we're very excited for that.
He's going to have some unique experiences to share with us for sure. So we're really excited for that.
I bet he will.
It'll be an early interview, I think 9 a.m. So if you're at work, it's okay. Later. Actually, you should take it off work and so you can watch it.
Take it off.
Absolutely take the day off if you're serious about it. Yeah. Just because of the time change, you have to do it at 9 a.m. But they can also look forward to stories about our members. I love the stories we put about members in the news and members of faith. We have had some even just this month that I think are so beautiful about. In the past, we've had interviews with a young man who was an Olympic gymnast and a member of the church and served a mission. And during the time when he was competing in the Olympics, and Jackson Payne, his story was amazing. And we've shared things about him and about other members. Francesco Mosaico, who happens to be a doctor who oversees the Boyle Macaulay Health Center and has done some amazing things, especially during COVID. He oversaw the shelter in the Expo Center. And we just have some incredible people doing great things. And so you'll hear their stories, which is terrific, and some challenging things that people have gone through as members of the church. And you'll just hear lots of, as I said, our channels are about great stories and about great things that are happening, and they're all meant to uplift. So that's what you'll hear if you look at our channels, is you'll see sharing of goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up, because most of the time we don't hear about local people, whether they be members of our church or other churches, and who are doing good and trying to make a positive impact in their community. I love how we're going to be using these platforms to highlight that, and that people can feel uplifted, edified, share it with other people, because we all know this past year it's been a lot of negativity. So I feel like this will bring some brightness into your life. So
I think that's true. And I think if we're, one of the things you learn, especially as you get older, is that when you put good things in, good things come out, right? You eat healthy food, turns out your body feels better. It took me a long time to figure that out. But
we're still figuring that out. Yeah.
You know what? It's sort of the international rule of garbage in, garbage out. So as you take in social media, look for good things and then share those good things. So if you're sharing something that you find challenging or a sad news story, share a happy news story. Share if you have to have a rant, okay, but try and share something fantastic about good things that are happening so that we all remember that the world is full of goodness. And I think, as we believe that, it becomes true.
Yeah.
I think some people maybe are afraid to share something they've done because they might feel like they're gloating or showboating. But that's not the case. A lot of times when I see something on social media, something good, that makes me want to do the same thing in my community or with my family or whatever that post is about, right? It encourages me, it inspires me. And so instead of thinking that you're you're gloating or showing off, think of it as you're inspiring someone else to do the same thing, right?
I think that's so true. And and another way to look at it is as a teaching moment, because if you have kids at home, if you have family members, you can say, hey, look at this. They did this in their community. What can we do as a family to help our community, right? And to inspire them for good things. And I just think there's so much power in goodness.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you for sharing that. If you guys have any comments or any questions, feel free to type them in. We'll try our best to get back to them as soon as we can. But I don't know about you. I feel uplifted already, and I haven't even seen the future stories that are coming up. I'm really looking forward to it, especially the interviews and also that interview with Evie Claire, because she definitely has a unique experience, especially at such a young age. So I really hope that we have a lot of youth following there, because it'll be a fun interview for sure. And guess what? She's going to sing live too, you guys.
Three songs.
So
that's pretty exciting. That is and that's brave, because you have to be so talented to have the courage to sing live. I love that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like we use filters and stuff. This is not how we look right now.
I'm lip syncing this whole interview.
Yeah.
I'm auto tuning it all like Britney Spears used to. That's me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we won't take too much more of your time, Chantelle, on this beautiful Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us an idea of what has happened in the past, and more especially what's going to happen in the future. We are super excited for one to be on this team to contribute to these platforms. So we look forward to hearing feedback from you guys that you're watching. Feel free to even give us story ideas or comments or things that you have done as well. Because like we said before, we want to uplift each other. And the more we uplift each other, we can do that with our communities, and we can make this all a better place. So,
And no matter what your faith is, search on these social media platforms so you can be a part of the group, so you can share the good things that you've done in your own community or in your own church, right? So search up Church of Jesus Christ Edmonton on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And join our group. You don't have to be of our faith. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep, for sure. So I think that wraps it up. Chantelle, do you have any last words or anything you want to say?
I would just agree with Mike and encourage everybody to message us if you have great stories you'd love to share. We would love to share them. That all of our channels have ways that you can share a message with us, and we would love to see them.
Perfect.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you Wednesday morning and for sure next Sunday afternoon. So have a great night.
Bye.
Thanks, Kim.